Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Capitalist Investor. As always, you have me, Diamond Hands D, and we got the boys back together again. We got Cool Hands Luke and Tony the Tiger. What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
I'm alive.
He's here.
I'm alive.
He made it.
Even though the 7 fire trucks waiting as we landed last week freaked me out a little bit.
Was there anything on fire?
Not that I know of. I don't think we got the full story. They said that we didn't have enough gas to get to where we're going.
Come on.
I don't know. I'm just
Come
saying airlines are cutting corners or someone's not doing their job. I don't know. Freaked me out. It wasn't even that we turned around and landed like quickly. That's not what freaked me out. It's the fire trucks.
I've been on a plane where we sat there for an hour and a half because they had to take fuel out of the plane because they filled it up they filled it up too much the night before, and you know they get it the weight. You know, it's just like too heavy, but that's less efficient and stuff. So
well, I still hopped on another flight, even though my anxiety was through the roof. I hopped on another flight 2 days ago to go to another thing that Tony sent me to. So I appreciate it, but I'm alive.
I had to do the pep talk. Feel like you could do this.
Yeah.
You could do this. I need you right now.
I had to talk to him. I'm like, hey, I'm really not feeling flying a week after this happened. You know, I kind of want to take a couple weeks off. And he was like, you can do it, Luke. I believe in you.
I believe in you.
All right. Well, what do we got for this week?
Oh, man. What kind of picture does that paint of me?
Good boss. Good boss. He's pumping me up.
Yeah.
Giving me motivational speeches.
All this did is not how it went down, but kind of.
A little bit. What do we got, Tony?
Right, what do we...
Tony's reflecting on his life choices here, apparently.
He's like, I'm a good guy. He's like, I'm a good
guy. I thought I was a good guy, but maybe I'm not.
I'm not. Oh, man. Now let me get centered here. All right. So we Kevin O'Leary came out. He's the, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, right? Came out and said, stay out of the markets. And he's talking specifically the government to stay out of the markets, and even more specifically, the housing markets. We'll touch base on that. What are commodities telling us about 2024 and what current commodity prices are telling us? Most people think, a quote here from Fox Business, most people think we're in a recession. Let's talk about that. And then canceled. We'll save that for the end, but there's some big things going on in sports, so we'll talk about that. All right, so Kevin O'Leary came out basically and said, stay out of the markets, and because the government, so let's put this in perspective. In June of 2023, 26% of the houses bought were bought by like a real estate investor, whether it's, your local guy buying up some houses or just straight up hedge funds buying houses. And the government came out and more specifically one of the representatives in California responded and said the last thing we need is these investment companies coming in and buying up all this stuff and buying up the American dream. And they actually came out and they called it the End to Hedge Fund Control of America Homes Act of 2023. Like, this is a bill that is sitting on somewhere in Congress.
This gives people political power. I mean,
right.
All this does is say, hey, the bad guys are these big institutions that are buying up everything. You should get mad at them because that's why your prices or the housing prices are high. It's because these big guys. It's not because of us. It's not because of all the money you're printing. It's because all these institutions are buying up all the supply. So they're trying the blame game.
Well, this is your thing. This is right up your alley, Luke. Kevin O'Leary came out and said that's not capitalistic.
Correct.
You're crushing capitalism because even like Jeff Bezos' backed real estate company called Arrived is going around buying up single-family homes. So your neighbor, soon-to-be neighbors, are going to be renters.
Yeah.
And
well, the free markets always create equilibrium in the end, as long as the government doesn't get involved. So even if these institutions are buying and over-leveraging themselves, buying up all the supply, as long as there's not just 1 or 2 or 3 big dogs playing the game, as long as there's thousands of people playing that game, then creates competition. and then the best will survive, and the weak will probably blow up in the end some way down the road because they over-leverage themselves. They don't have the best product for people to go rent, things like that, right? This also creates an opportunity for people to build houses. If things keep on going up and prices of new homes, or people already own current homes, then the price of lumber probably will come down as people, or price of lumber will be able to be more affordable for people to actually build homes. So it creates equilibrium.
And plus I think if large companies buy homes and they buy a bad investment, they will unload that investment.
Yep.
Where
Right.
if I went and bought a second home, I'm probably more emotional.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, I'm going to take that loss. I'm like, the hell I'm going to take that loss. I'm going to make this work, and I'm going to suck it up, and it's going to stink. If I went and bought just another house, I own one house. I'm not going to buy. Don't have any intentions on buying another house. But if I did, it would become an emotional thing. Like, holy cow, I own 2 houses.
Yeah.
Not 200 houses, right?
Right.
So I think there's something. If the real estate market blows up, these guys will throw the parachute up, which could create opportunities then for the American dream.
Look, owning a home is not all it's cracked up to be. That's all I'm saying. Like, all these people that want to own homes that don't own homes, I'm like, you're really not missing that much, frankly. I mean, you got to raise a family. I guess it's nice instead of renting, and like you actually own the property and stuff. But I don't know.
Would you go back to renting?
Yes.
Wow.
Tony, we talked about this.
Well, I know you do. But I thought you enjoyed cutting the grass with your beer and riding your tractor.
No, I'd rather
the
just
3 times a year
I'd
when he
rather
actually
just
cuts
not
it.
cut the grass. Yeah, but no, I'd go back to renting. But maybe it's just me.
I don't know if I could. I enjoy my house.
Yep.
I got a couple different floors. I got my room. Like you start renting, and
I just don't like when my sump pump goes out and I have to worry every time it rains.
Yeah, it's home ownership is great. It's the cost to maintain it that stinks. When we were kids, I felt like it was held up as like this great investment, and you'll buy it for a little and sell it for a lot. But the amount that it takes to keep going, the taxes ridiculous.
most people do it on most people do it on 30-year mortgage.
Oh yeah.
And then if you do that, you bought your house 20 years ago for $100,000, and with interest and all that over 30 years, you're probably paying like $300,000. Did your house go from $100,000 to $300,000 and from 20 years ago? I mean, in this market, it might have.
Probably did from 20 years ago.
But you're maybe essentially breaking even.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Derek made a great point there. You never actually truly own your home because you pay property taxes.
Yep.
So the government actually owns your home. That's another whole different point. That's
Absolutely.
I'll go back to my libertarian takes if you want me to, but that's
that's what happened. I was watching Happy Gilmore. That's what happened to Grandma. She stopped paying her taxes for 10 years. She's going to take her house.
Shoot him again.
Let's all
buys
just
it
stop
up
paying
from up under.
Right under her feet.
Yeah, makes her bedroom the trophy room.
Yeah.
Shocking.
All right, so. It is kind of destroying capitalism.
It is.
I understand. I can see the other through the other lens of like it's taking away the American dream and probably skyrocketing prices right now of every house because they're just being gobbled up by people who are cash rich.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about that a couple weeks ago on how many houses are being bought in cash transactions.
Yeah. So like, there's how many Airbnb houses though are out there that people, if there is a recession, people will stop traveling and stop renting out Airbnbs. Then people will be underwater. Then they'll flood the whole market with houses, and then prices come down. Like this is where capitalism always creates equilibrium.
Absolutely. And Luke nailed it with this is a complete scapegoat move because the reason why houses are unaffordable is because of mortgage rates, and that's because of the inflation that they created.
Well,
like it's they basically just tell you that you're an idiot all the time. That's essentially what they're doing. This is a great topic because I forgot about this because I wanted to talk about it, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're saying, hey, look at this over here. Here's the reason that you can't buy a house, when we all know what the reasons really are.
Smoke and mirrors, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Welcome to politics.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. All right, moving on to commodities. What are they telling us of 2024? So oil, we've talked about that before, but fell nearly 4% yesterday after CPI and what came out today? PCI?
PCE, I think.
PCE,
right?
yeah. Both came down, showing that inflation is settling down. Still going up, just not as fast, right? But with that being said, oil went down 4% yesterday, and we're hovering somewhere around the $70 a barrel. If I remember right before like summertime, we were somewhere in the $95 per barrel range.
Yep.
And it's crazy that, you know, oil usually skyrockets in environments that are going on right now. And what's going on right now? Geopolitical risk. There's 2 wars going on. You guys know that there's a drought and it's clogging up the Panama Canal? Like, they don't have enough water to get boats across the Panama Canal. Did you guys know that?
I did not.
Yeah, well, now you do. They're doing oil cuts. You know, OPEC's coming out and cutting oil production while silently, as I mentioned before,
that's your favorite point.
We are pumping more. We are extracting more oil than we have in the last 4 or 5 years right now. So I would assume gas would be low because it's being created here in the United States.
That's right. That's my take. I mean, there's 2 signals. One, either we're in a recession, which is I think goes into our kind of next point with Americans, how they feel, or our next topic, or a production in the U.S. is just extremely high, which it is, and that's why we're seeing prices come down a little bit. Now, the question then becomes, why are we producing oil at such a high pace? And I think it's mainly because geopolitical risk is probably the highest it's ever been, at least in my lifetime.
Well, geopolitical for one thing. We need to get self-reliant.
We do.
That is, I would say that's number 1.
Yes.
Number 2, in my opinion, would be that we are coming up on an election year, and I've always felt that a lot of us own a car and have to fill it up. And when you're paying $60, $70, $80 to fill up your car because gas is $4.50, here in Ohio it's under $3.
Yeah.
Again, right?
It's like sitting 270.
It's
nice.
It's cheap. I can fill up my car for $35 and I'm off and running for the next week and a half or whatever. When it's $80, it hurts.
Yeah.
And that's less money for me to put into the economy and things like that. So I feel that it is twofold: geopolitical, but also trying to lessen the burden on, you know, the wealth effect. You know, how wealthy do I feel? If putting $80 in my gas tank does not make me feel wealthy. I feel like I got to go home and sit and eat ramen noodles because I just spent all the money I would to go out to eat. It's in my gas tank.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, it feels like we've gotten nothing the second half of this year except demand for crude falling and then OPEC cutting production. Hasn't that happened like 10 times this year?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it could be signaling a recession too. Like we're just not using it.
Yeah. Right. It seems like they just keep cutting. You know, and I totally understand the point that no one talks about what we're doing here in the U.S., but it's...
Well, or also the government's buying a ton of oil also. Even though they're cutting production outside, the government's buying tons of oil to replenish the reserve.
Are they continue to do? I know that they did like 1 million barrels or something.
Yeah,
which
they
is a drop in the quote unquote bucket.
Right.
But I know that they also, if it's $70 a barrel right now, they bought it for like 77 or 76. They better buy some more because their dollar cost average into that.
But that being said, as you know, I mean, this is another thing. Kind of the government at that point is kind of subsidizing oil because they're buying oil with our tax dollars, essentially creating more supply. Yeah, it's driving down prices, but where's that money going? That's inflationary somewhere else. It's just like this is the question. Again, the government. We go back to this. You know, we talked about last time with housing. Last topic. This topic, it's like, you know, we can focus on the government buying oil now and spending money. Government's getting involved in the free market system. And this is why, like, from an investment standpoint, we have to look at this. You have to talk politics. We have to talk about politics. I was at the conference I was at past 2 days. You know, it was like, you know, very interesting. Like, a lot of people were talking to. I just kind of sat back and was watching people talk, and some people were talking politics at the table, and then someone would be like, oh, well, we don't need to talk politics because it's, you know, our investments don't really matter. I'm sitting back there thinking, You have to think. You have to look at what's going on out there in the world because we are so controlled by the government. You have to talk politics.
Well, I mean, here's another thing too. So I remember years ago when oil was going, a barrel of oil was going down, yet the price of gasoline was going up, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And the reason behind it was we had all this crude, but it couldn't be refined fast enough. So do we have enough crude and we have enough refineries? I'm sure. I mean, they've learned their lesson. CapEx from oil, that like they spent a ton of money on making sure that their product gets out the door, right?
Well, you want to be nice right now? The Keystone Pipeline XL that was being built that got shut down. That'd be kind of nice right now for all of us.
Yeah. Well, I wonder. It's been off for so long, and I know that it's corrosive material goes through there. I wonder how, like, if they were to turn it back on, like what. It'd be years for them to turn it back on.
Build it. I mean,
they'd have to
build it.
You'd have to redo everything with that, unless they cleaned it out really well. I don't know what they did.
Yeah, I don't know.
I bet you no one does. Anyway,
I know the answer to that, Tony.
Right. All right. So that's what commodities are. So I would say commodities are telling us next year that oil is shaping up to. It's pointing at a recession. Because it's so low, that means demand's low, and if demand's low, that means we're not shipping stuff, and if we're not shipping stuff, we're not selling stuff.
Yep.
And it's just gonna, arrive next year.
That goes into the next topic of like why
most people think we're in a recession. Yeah.
Most Americans think we are in a recession. So we talk about this so much. Where's the disconnect, guys? Like, we feel like we're in a recession. Everyone kind of feels like it. But the numbers and the markets and the talking heads on TV that are disconnected from reality, like they just, they don't feel it as much. It's just like they don't understand what people are feeling.
Yeah.
And where's the disconnect go, though? I mean, we talk about this all the time, but apparently we're not in a recession. I don't know.
It was actually funny. I was watching Mornings with Maria, and they get this one guy. He's like a big food distributor. And they're like, hey, Maria's like, hey, so all these prices are coming down and you're selling food. Are you lowering your prices? And he's like, no. I mean, there will be permanent price inflation. People are not going to cut the costs. They just, unless something really bad happens and people just stop spending in general.
But wages, okay, so
the wages
are okay, even though they haven't kept up fully from when the pandemic started.
The materials may go down.
But incomes are up.
Yes.
Like incomes are up and inflation is up, right? And really it's like, I think it's negative a couple percent, whatever it be when you adjust for real wages and inflation. But it's not like extreme. Like, where's the disconnect then? Are we just getting addicted to spending more money? Is that the disconnect that we have upped our lifestyle? Has everyone just and not realized it, not think about it? Has everyone just upped their whole lifestyle?
I think they had to maintain their lifestyle from 2 years ago.
Yep.
My question is has people's lifestyles changed from 2020 to 2023 now? Has most people's lifestyle changed as in they've increased their the kind of car they own? They've gone with the Beamer instead of the Honda. They've now going
the Honda's just 40% more money.
Okay.
That's how I
think it's a combination.
Derek's buying a car right now. How's that going?
Not great.
Yeah.
It's my whole life, right? You walked into a car dealership, they want to sell you a car, right? It's not like that anymore. Yeah. It's basically, here's the price, and it's the prices of what I would consider to be non-luxury brands are, as it seems, if you get a non-luxury brand like with lots of features, it's basically the same price as a luxury brand.
Car, yeah.
It's wild. It really is. Just to see. I went to the Jeep dealership to see the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer. Thought I would, try to save some money.
Those things are like 120 grand.
A Grand Wagoneer is $120,000.
Jesus.
It's
you get 6 Honda Civics for that price.
Yeah. I still can't believe what I paid for my Ford Explorer.
Yeah, no, that's.
I'm just like, I'm kind of looking back on it. I'm like, damn.
Those are the good old days. You talk. It's like It's like a campfire, whiskey, those good old days.
But the one thing they're saying though is that there is starting to be cracks in, like the luxury buying sector. So the rich, quote unquote rich people aren't buying luxury stuff, Gucci's and Gucci's and Louis and Rollies. Yeah, they're not like all of that stuff is coming off of its pandemic highs, which it should anyway. But and somebody's like, well, what are the rich people telling us? I'm like, yeah, they're feeling it. That's what it's telling us is like everything around us has gone up.
Yeah,
and we're all adjusting and. Yeah, like I said, if I'm going to put $80 in my gas tank, I might not go out to eat that night.
Yeah, exactly right. So we used to go out to eat all the time.
All the time?
Yeah,
you were to DoorDash that. Did you get off that hook yet? Or are you still
DoorDashing
everything?
I'm way off of that one.
Yeah, that's expensive.
It costs $95 to get a burrito delivered.
You know what I did, guys? I bought myself, and I invested very heavily into this.
Oh boy!
I bought myself the brand new Xbox. So that way it keeps me inside a little bit more. So I don't go out as much. Go out for a couple drinks, go have dinner.
We got a gamer.
Can stay in. But yeah, so
did you get a headset?
I did.
Oh man!
I'm trash talking everyone. I'm just back in the good old days of
I haven't turned mine on in like 5 or 6 years. I think you and I talked about that, Terry. Like I
don't know. I've been trying to find something to turn my brain off and
okay.
also spend less money. So I spent $500 on buying the new Xbox, and I'm like, this will save me money in the end.
Yep.
I can't fault it. I had that mentality years ago too. And
that's right.
All right.
What else, man?
Let me know how the gaming's going.
It's not going good. These like 15-year-olds are crazy nowadays.
Yeah,
I thought I was good when I was 15.
They're gonna eat your lunch, literally.
They're insane. That's all they do all day.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Yeah, they're like, how do they do that? I don't know. Like they just.
It's like the Fortnite. Everyone's like can build I don't know if you guys know that game, but you build structures and stuff. It's crazy what they can do and how quickly they do it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. They do have AI monitoring chat now, which is a wild thing.
AI what?
Monitoring the chat. So, well, you're from the last generation, the
pre-AI generation,
the pre-game lobbies in 2006.
The Nintendo.
It was
they're looking for keywords and like gonna kick you. They'll kick you off of like chats and stuff.
So
really,
they're always listening. Yep.
God, it's like Big Brother always listening.
Man, the things I used to say on those headsets, holy cow!
Yeah, it was a wild place.
Hopefully, there's never resurfaced.
Wake up, man! Wake up the whole house at 2:00 in the morning. Jesus! All right. Anyway, back at the ranch. Canceled.
This is all you guys.
So there's actually been two interesting things happened last week, basically. And one is golf. Derek's like, I'm definitely at a net. So one of was Jon Rahm the number one player in the world? I mean, I know he's top 5 at. They all kind of bounce around, but Jon Rahm is.
Yeah, if he's not one, he's top 3.
Two or 3. Yeah, Rory, him, and I don't even know.
Scotty Scheffler. I would say
Scotty.
Is probably up there.
He left for the Live. Reportedly $600 million to leave to go to the what do you want to call that? Like just the degenerate league? I don't know. It's just not. It's not the PGA.
Yep.
And so this is what has me thinking, like how much if they have $600 million to give one player for a 4-year contract, I think it was too. If they have all that money for that guy, and they say it's got like a Saudi funding fund behind it, it's got hundreds of billions of dollars in it to pay these athletes to come over and keep them entertained through sports, right? I think they're doing it with soccer and things like that too, right? How much if they can give him $600 million? And if he were to stay on the tour, he'd be lucky in prize money if he won every event, he'd win maybe $60 million.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got to win everything.
Right.
He'd become the best golfer ever. Right. And how much is the PGA really keeping to funnel their agendas? They got the first tee, teaching little kids how to golf. That's a good give back, but how much does that cost? The sponsorships, all the PGA tournaments that are going on around the country simultaneously at every country club nearest to you, like they're embedded so like people get excited about the game. Given this guy just like, here's $600 million, like why don't you pop on over? And he's like, why not? I can't blame him.
So a few numbers. Rahm was second on the money list last year, made $16 million, and he is third on the world golf rankings. Scheffler won, and Rory 2. But yeah, they have unlimited money, I think, is the answer to the question. I forgot the PIF fund, public investment fund. They had $21 million. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but we did talk about it this year. I think one of the main takeaways for me, at least, is that none of this had to happen, right? It's not about, and Rory McIlroy has been making the headlines, supporting the PGA Tour, basically questioning the integrity of anyone who leaves. It came out this week, Rory is not hurting for money, right? He is financially compensated for being the face of the PGA Tour
through endorsements, not through the PGA,
yep,
but
exactly.
like who's it? Like Nike is that his big or Taylor? Who's
Nike? I believe he is TaylorMade. He like the Whoop is one that was mentioned this week, basically making an extra $10 million just to be the Whoop spokesperson, and that deal was brokered through the PGA Tour. So it's not about money for the top guys. I think it was really just about.
It's always about money.
Well, it is about money for the top guys, but the reason the fracture started happening is for the guys lower down the pole, down the totem pole. It's really. There was no reason that the PGA Tour needed to keep its tax exemption, and that is really the genesis behind all of this, because they didn't want to give that up. They didn't want to change their structure. They didn't want to pay anyone, to play on their tour, even though they're getting all the benefit. And you just wonder how much money was the PGA Tour, the entity, just banking off of the backs of the PGA Tour players. Like, they're the ones in the commercials. They're the ones hitting the shots. They're the ones that have to grind it out for 8 hours a day. And none of this had to happen. It's the PGA Tour's fault. It's not these.
How much are they keeping?
Yeah, exactly.
To funnel all. I'll call them their agendas, but most of their agendas are just to get the average person involved in golf.
Right.
Tournaments, NOGAs, North Ohio Golf Association. Like, I play in those events, but they're kind of sanctioned through the PGA, essentially. That's kind of where they get their ideas and funding and things like that, and it's fun. So, but the Saudis aren't doing that.
The real interesting part, though, is the tour and the Saudis were supposed to be coming together.
Now if they keep on stealing more big name players, it could be,
it must not be going well, because they were supposed to reach at least a framework by the end of this year.
Oh,
and it's
against
almost the end
each
of the
other
year.
And stuff. I mean, because
a framework to merge together, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So the Liv taking the top player, he's the top. He's the top draw, in my opinion. He won the Masters. He's who you want to see play. He's an awesome golfer. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because the talk was of the merger that right. The Liv was going away. It's obviously not going away if they're paying one of the top players in golf. You know, and these are reported numbers. No one actually knows what they are.
Yeah.
But somewhere between $400 and $600 million is the rumor.
Just for showing out.
So guys, you just gotta be 1% as good as them. You can make $4 million going out there and golfing, man.
Yeah, I'm trying. That's why. Yeah,
gotta get back out there.
Weekend warrior. I'll try and figure it out. Well, but then we also talking about broken systems. That would be the salary cap for baseball. Because Shohei Otani.
Shohei.
Sorry,
yep.
I'm terrible with names. Otani is arguably the best generational talent to come into the league in quite some time. He's basically the Babe Ruth of our era.
Yep.
I've never seen anybody like it. He can have the most strikeouts in a game and hit 2 home runs simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like he is an exceptional baseball player. And he just
Can't
got
throw a knuckleball like me though.
No. He throws the heater. Give him the heater, Ricky.
That's right. Great movie.
They gave him $700 million contract, and he reportedly came out and said, "I am gonna." So that's a 10-year contract, $70 million per year. He is going to defer $68 million and start paying that, getting that paid out after he retires in 10 years or quits or whatever.
Smart.
Is it though? Because so there's a lot of things going on with this. Think about what's going on. He's doing it so that the team can continue to spend money and bring on talent to surround him. Cool, team player, right? Making $2 million a year, good for him. You know, deferring $68 million. Now that number doesn't change. So what is $700 million worth in 10 years?
True.
It could be the equivalent of a $400 million contract today, which is more in line. Also think about what the Dodgers, because that's who signed him, what they can do with that money on advertising, saving that money or like investing that money to help pay the majority of his contract. For him to take $2 million, like the Guardians, just signed a catcher for $4 million. I don't even know who he is. Hedges.
That's why it's $4 million, not $600
$4 million a year. This dude's making less money than our 1-year contract catcher who probably won't even finish next year. Like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure. But again, this cat, this Ashanti, I'm sure his endorsements will gladly make up because he's from Japan. So he's gonna get all kinds of contracts over there. He'll have it over here. He'll be this $700 million that'll get in 10 years will be half of his net worth by the time he's done.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's wild.
But
I don't even know how that's allowed, honestly.
That's the thing. Like, what's baseball doing? Like, no one stood up and says, "Hey, that's not good for the rest of us."
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be. What happens to the Dodgers in 10 years when they have $68 million in salary for someone who's not even on the team?
Well, that's what
was
I'm
a Bobby
saying.
Bonilla.
At the end of the day, this again, I'm all for less rules and regulations. Like, I know. Yeah, things can get out of whack when you have like a franchise like the Yankees or Dodgers that have probably more money than like the Indians. I get that it kind of makes things out of whack for a little bit, but like Derek's point is great. Like this is an investment. If it doesn't work out, let's say he doesn't perform as well the next couple of years, right? And then like Derek said, he has $68 million in contract, per year for someone that's not even on the roster. I mean, this could be detrimental to them in the long term, right? So I'm all for again equilibrium, guys.
Capitalism.
Equilibrium, free market.
Yeah. I mean, because he just exited the season with an injury, like a shoulder injury, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's got surgery and all
ever
that.
guaranteed.
Yeah, might never throw or hit again.
I hope he does. I'm never wish anything bad on anybody, but never do.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Derek, take us home.
Well, I just wanted to say, I'm driving in today, I heard that Corky and Lenny's is closing, or maybe already closed.
Oh wow!
So that is a Cleveland institution, man. That's one of the first places I ate at when when I was 10 years old when we were moving here from New York. So, shout out Corky and Lenny's. Great sandwiches, great breakfast. Right by my house. So yeah, sad to hear that. It was a great place.
Canceled.
Yep.
Corky and Lenny's.
But there's still Jack's on the east side. That's
you got Slyman's.
Yeah, Slyman's.
You need a corned beef sandwich, man.
Yep.
There's Slyman's downtown. There's one here in Independence.
I'm tired of food. Food's so good.
I'm tired of it.
I look at myself on the camera right now. I'm like, wow. Just chill out a little bit, Luke. All this travel, all these conferences that Tony's sending me to,
Oh yeah.
It is hard to eat good on the road. That's for sure.
So in the next 2 episodes, it's going to be winding down for the season. So we'll have some insight on what happened over 2023 and some insight on what we can see coming for 2024.
Yeah.
Maybe throwing a stocking stuffer stock pick.
Stuff.
Never know. Never know what Luke will bring to the table.
Wait
now
and
that he's
see.
here and now he's back in town.
Till the 25th. I leave Christmas Day.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. If you have any questions, show ideas, hit us up at info@swpconnect.com, and we'll talk to you next week.
The opinions expressed in the podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any investment, legal, financial, or tax strategy. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. Please consult a qualified professional about your individual needs.